Hello everybody and welcome back for the weekly VR game first impressions, where I spend a few hours checking out the latest new releases and try and find some must-play titles. Today we have everything from a creepy time-traveling puzzler, a remake of a classic zombie shooter, Google Maps VR on steroids, and finally a pretty generic co-op shooter that you can pass on. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but let's start things off with the Arizona Sunshine Remake, which I got to try out on the PlayStation VR 2. Now when it comes to VR titles, Arizona Sunshine is an absolute classic. It was one of VR's first full-size games that had an actual campaign, a co-op mode, and they added a lot of DLC over time. Honestly, it was ahead of its time and absolutely fantastic, but unfortunately, it released all the way back in 2016, so a lot of people never got to play this one. You're probably more familiar with Arizona Sunshine 2, which wasn't everyone's cup of tea. Now, I definitely enjoyed it, but when people say the original is better, I definitely understand where they're coming from, as the feel and pacing was a bit different. So I was extremely excited when I heard that Vertigo Games would be taking all of their absolutely stunning graphical updates from Arizona Sunshine 2 and bringing them back for an Arizona Sunshine Remake. Arizona Sunshine was easily one of the best looking recent VR game releases. It's actually quite stunning. If you appreciate high quality graphics, you'll definitely enjoy this, and now they've managed to make the original look just as good. So honestly, if you appreciate high quality graphics, boom, this should be a go-to game. But on top of that, it's just a solid experience overall. You also get all of the DLC that was eventually released over time. And if you are someone who owns the original Arizona Sunshine, you could upgrade to the remake version for only $10. So if you're in the market for a great looking zombie shooter, I highly recommend you pick up this game when it's available. Now our next experience is something I've been meaning to check out for a long time, and that's EarthQuest. EarthQuest is basically Google Maps VR on steroids. Now it's been a long time since I fooled around with Google Earth VR or just even the flat version of Google Earth. If you've ever played with it, you know it's kind of addicting. Like, it's just really cool to zoom into places you know, get down to street level, look around. But if you jump in via EarthQuest, there's a bunch of extra features that make it even more exciting. Like one, you could fly around the world with a friend, which is a cool experience. You could show them things, check out stuff, you know, just have a nice conversation while you're going around the world, going from space all the way down to your home, whatever it may be. Now they also added a bunch of AI features, which you could use for everything from voice navigation to asking about any landmark you're currently viewing. Now obviously this type of experience is not everyone's cup of tea. It might not be worth the $9 to you, but I jumped in. I thought it was really cool to just fly around, check things out. I did occasionally have some performance issues. Now there's tons of different settings that you could tweak so that you get like the best visuals, but sometimes I had trouble with things loading. Obviously, that's going to be impacted by your network, by your connection to Google servers. So, you know, results may vary from time to time. And also, there were some issues with this app in the past that look like they've been resolved. There's also two separate ways that you could connect to all of Google's information, but the recommended option is to just use it as is right out of the box. And I will say it was extremely easy to get working, and my overall experience was very pleasant. But speaking of pleasant experiences, let's get back to the games with Chernobyl Again. Now originally I thought this was going to be some type of Into the Radius ripoff, but no, that's not what it's like at all. This is a story-driven experience with some puzzles. That's basically it. It's got an eerie vibe throughout, but it's not really a horror title. And I guess the closest thing I played to it was the Doctor Who experience. Now I will say though, I definitely enjoyed this one more in terms of storyline because I was not really a fan of Doctor Who, and that game felt a little bit too simplistic. This one definitely intrigued me more. Like, I'm like, what's going on? Oh, it's a time travel experience. Wait, Chernobyl shouldn't have happened. Someone went back in time and made Chernobyl happen, and now you're an agent trying to go back and fix that. But that's also the experience where your parents died, and it's a time travel story. I didn't finish it yet, but there's going to be some sort of loop in there or some type of cross or some type of twist, I'm sure. But I'm intrigued. It's really cool. Graphically on the Quest, it's good. It's not Red Matter 2. It's just good enough. I would like to see this on pcvr or PlayStation VR 2 because they'd probably be a lot more immersive, look a lot better. But overall, the graphics were good enough to keep me immersed. And I'm truly intrigued to see where the storyline goes. And if you're someone who enjoys the narrative experience of other games like Doctor Who or even Red Matter, you might want to go ahead and put this title on your wish list. And finally, in today's video, we have Frenzy Extinction, which just don't bother with. Now, I was definitely trying to find some redeeming qualities in this title, but I couldn't. Like, it felt just not well engineered. Like, it's like, oh, you go into the tutorial, but it doesn't really, give you any direct instructions. The combat's awful. I literally started with a flaming axe. What kind of first weapon is that? A flaming axe. And I just held it out and walked through enemies. Then when you actually get into the game, which is basically a series of levels where you're going to be fighting waves of zombie-like creatures, and then you will gain resources as you kill them, which will let you unlock other things like other weapons, other areas, other perks, etc., etc. The problem is the combat sucks, and there's just no way to get around that. I get the whole concept of they want you to play a lot, and the higher level weapons will just feel way cooler, but if it just feels so bland right out of the gate, I'm never going to work hard enough for all of those extra weapons. Now, the graphics have a very specific, low poly, cartoony effect, and when it comes to the world itself, it looks good enough, but the enemies themselves just look goofy, and like I said, I just could not get into this game. I really tried, I gave it some time, and I just wasn't feeling it. Now, maybe multiplayer will save this for some people, because even a crappy game could be fun with your friends, but no way I would recommend that. Honestly, now there's different modes. There is the story campaign mode where you're going to be going through these levels, and then after that, there's a boss rush mode. Either way, I wasn't really into it, and like I said, I'm just going to skip on this game. I expect more these days. You don't have to give me the best graphics. You don't have to give me the best anything. You just got to give me some fun. And if your game's not fun, what is the point? Now, that was today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Thumbs up. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. And as always, I'll see you guys on next time.